We are halfway to finding the fittest. The champ is back. Justin Medeiros occupies a familiar spot on the leaderboard. Ricky runs Oceania. And who is hoping for help on the bubble? We look back at quarterfinals next. Hi everybody, welcome inside the Talking Elite Fitness Studios. I'm Sean Woodland with Tommy Marquez as we take a look back on the weekend that was for the men in their quarterfinal competition. And there are some people that we really didn't talk about a lot during the Open, and now you look at these leaderboards and you say, oh yes, there they are, that makes sense.
Yeah, especially if you look at the first page of the leaderboard. 37 of the top 50 men quarterfinals worldwide have some experience at the games in some capacity across their divisions. So definitely experience played a huge factor, and definitely athletes with a ton of competition behind their belts, both in training as well as in competition, seem to do well here.
Let's take a look at your overall leaders right now for each continent. Keelan Henry, a familiar name. He finishes first in Africa. Fabian Benito continues that momentum that he gained in Dubai. Ricky Garrard wins Oceania. More on him in a second. No surprise that Medeiros is in first in South America. And Justin Medeiros, the second straight year he has finished first in the world.
It's nice. I mean, I love competing. Like it's like why I do the sport, and I think just to have these workouts, and especially on the worldwide leaderboards of the Open and quarterfinals, you really get to compare yourself to some other athletes, see where you stacked up, see where your weaknesses are. And I think even though it's been a pretty awesome weekend, it's been going really well for me, there's definitely things where I know I can improve on. It's cool to, and definitely some things that I've worked on and seeing them pay off. I think it's that's why competing is so much fun. You really get to test those things and see where you stack up, how you are. And I think just the next 2 months, I'm really excited for, because the off season was super hectic, lots of travel, not a lot of routine. And I felt like I was really behind, going into the Open, and I was really nervous about quarterfinals because I wasn't sure where I was stacked up. I didn't feel like where I wanted to be, just because just other obligations have come up. And I think it's been a good confidence boost for me going into this, knowing that I'm far from my best right now, but I still think I can compete at a high level.
Now, we didn't talk a whole lot about Justin Medeiros in the Open, but now he is back doing Justin Medeiros things.
Look, Sean, I'm as much a fan of shiny objects as the next person. That's why I have a garage full of Snuggies, OxyClean, and Slap Chops. And deservedly so, Ricky and Roman are kind of the shiny objects given their performance at the games. But look, you can cook a steak on a George Foreman, but nothing beats a cast iron skillet, and that's what Justin Medeiros is. He's old faithful. That's why he's the two-time champ. He's not as flashy, but you know what? He gets the job done. He shows up in competition every single time, and when you put him in a game-time environment, he's going to shine, and this is just another example of that.
Well, Ricky Garrard was not as flashy as Justin Medeiros, but still had a really good quarterfinals. He was coming off that 7th place finish in the Open. He takes first in Oceania, finishes 16th in the world, and another step closer to getting back to the CrossFit Games and repeating the podium performance from last season.
Yeah, consider it just a stepping stone, just part of the process. Stage 2, qualifying for semis. So obviously you want to do your best in any competition, so you always go out there and give it your best effort on every workout and go as hard as you can, and that's what I did.
So Ricky Garrard, not as flashy as Justin Medeiros here, but still right where he needs to be.
Yeah, this is a scenario where, looking at the bigger picture, I would tell Ricky that good enough is more than enough. And really that's something that's been echoed by his camp as well. You talk to Justin Collar, his coach, over the past few months since the games. Really it's about starting to build consistency in training and conserving energy long-term for the end goal of competing at the games. It was no surprise that Ricky started to fade a little bit towards the end of last season, and that was just because he still didn't have his competition legs. He wasn't used to being back in the mix like that. So for him, winning Oceania, showing up and performing at semifinals, and then carrying that over to the games is the real big picture goal, and this checks that box.
Let's take a closer look at the 5 tests that went down this past weekend, and to break things down test by test, here's Lauren Khalil.
Thanks, Sean. Here are the unofficial winners from events 1 through 5 on the men's side. Event 1 goes to Victor Hoffer, a new name at the top of the leaderboard. He is from France, and he finished this workout in 5 minutes and 25 seconds. That's nearly a minute faster than the second best time. So let's get to know Victor Hoffer a little bit better. He turns 20 in just a few days. He started CrossFit quite recently in 2019. He made his first elite individual appearance this past winter at the Dubai Fitness Championship, where he placed 13th overall. His background is in gymnastics, so event one was certainly something in his wheelhouse, but he did not expect to actually win the workout. Something even more surprising, though, his manager, who helped translate during the interview that I did with him, Lucille Faluza with Backlund Management, said that placing second overall in Europe.
For him, it was like to place correctly in the European, like as a European athletes. Being second right now, he never expected to do that. Like he entered the quarterfinal to qualify for semis, for sure. That was the goal as an individual. To classify as second European was like not the expectation. The expectation was to be in the 6 tiers for sure. Now, like entering semifinal, like he's not like, oh, I'm gonna go to the games or whatever. This is not the mindset he's going to. He's going into, okay, like I want to do something great. I want to have fun. I want to really enjoy like my time over there. So yeah, he wants to feel that he's a great European athlete going there, and then we will see how it goes.
Another name that we're not used to seeing at the top of the leaderboard, Norman Woodring. For him, though, he's been doing CrossFit for nearly a decade now. We've seen him at the Mid-Atlantic Championship semifinal back in 2021. And then last year, he competed at the Granite Games. Now, even with the fastest time on event 3, he said that the barbell did start to feel heavy in that last set of 5, but he was able to do this workout a second time, and that's when he shaved nearly 30 seconds off and took the win.
I had an idea it'd be under a 5-minute workout. So I did the workout once and did a 4:29. But then going back and looking at the video, I realized my partner, my judge, she accidentally moved my bar forward. And I guess in the rule books, nobody's supposed to touch the bar. So I was like, well, just to be safe, we'll go back in the next day, and then I redid the workout again. But I went back and looked at my video and realized some breaks I took and some reps I took and try to go off that.
As for Justin, not a huge surprise to see him towards the top of the leaderboard. The more surprising factor is to see him take home an event win. Is typically he's just consistent through all of the workouts. But when he saw that there were GHGs, he thought that maybe he could sneak in an event win if he was faster than the rest of the field.
I don't normally have too many home run events. I mean, you look at last year's games, I wasn't able to scratch off an event win or anything, but normally when the GHD comes up in workouts and stuff, it's definitely like a pretty good confidence boost for me. And I think going to that workout, just kind of like owning that and knowing like, hey, I'm probably not going to be rowing as fast as guys like Roman or anything like this, but I'm hoping that no one's going to be able to do GHDs faster than me. And I think that's kind of when I got into it, that was like my mindset.
And then there was Jona Koski, who was trying to claw his way up the leaderboard after struggling in the workout with the crossovers. For this one, he saw the GHDs and knew he had to full send.
And to be honest, like the last round or the third round of 50 GHDs was I can still feel it on my back a little bit, but it was worth it. I kind of felt like my back was pushed against the wall a little bit after the crossovers.
Right.
Like overall goal was to at least get to the top heat of the semifinals. That's the safest place to start the competition there.
Yeah.
And so I needed to grab some points, or grab as little points as possible in that workout. And played out pretty well.
As for Patty V, he was pretty consistent over the course of the weekend, having an 8th, 12th, 15th, and 8th respectively. He says that it was nice, though, to end with a home run and finish second overall.
Test 5 was good. That's a good workout for me on paper. So it's nice when you can take a big swing and it's everything still works the way it should, right? So go figure. Heavy deadlifts and gymnastics pulling is still something I'm good at.
Right.
But it was good. It's like, you never know, right? Quarterfinals, again, being online, you just like, you finish it and you're like, yeah, that was about as fast as I think I could do it. It was hard at the end, and you like go as quick as you can. You kind of make an aggressive decision and try to just hang on to it. But that was a fun workout to do. And particularly being strong in those movements, I feel like it was a fun one to just kind of see where you're at and say, like, let's go for it a bit and really push. There's nothing really in your way that's going to stop you. You're just going to feel heavy in those rope climbs at the end if you make a really aggressive decision. So, I went with aggressive and it paid out. So it's nice.
An impressive weekend overall to both see some familiar faces, but also welcome new names to the top of the leaderboard and get to know more of those athletes. We'll send it back to you, Sean.
Thanks so much, Lauren, and you absolutely called it. Pat Vellner winning test 5. No surprise there, though, really, given how strong he is at those movements.
I mean, deadlifts and gymnastics, if you're not Pat Vellner, you're going to have a bad time. But really, I mean, there's plenty to chew on here. Obviously, hats off to Norman for winning that short and heavy one. Victor Hoffer, another legit performance. And then Medeiros, not normally a home run hitter, shows up in a big way.
Yeah, that will bode well for him as he heads into semifinals and then to the CrossFit Games. Well, there are some athletes who are still waiting to find out if they are going to make it to semifinals. Here are the men who are on the cut line of note. Willie George is the closest to possibly getting to semifinals right now, but still, it is really surprising to see him in this position right now.
You know, it is, given his competition history, but in the days since the competition wrapped, we've gotten a little bit more insight as to why. He released a statement on his Instagram. He released a video that he had recorded well before the competition on his YouTube channel, basically explaining that regardless, this was going to be his final year as an individual. He's stepping away from that. He does leave the door open to compete in the future, particularly in the team competition, but that, as with seasons of life changing, he has a shift in focus, affiliate, his programming and other areas, both personally and professionally. I, for one, hope that this isn't the last that we see of him as an individual, that maybe there's a backfill scenario and that we can see him at the semifinal as an individual one last time.
What are your top takeaways now from these past 3 days from the men's competition?
Man, we're going to go all over the globe here, and we're going to start with one that we kind of expected, but it's in North America, and it's these deep top heats that we're going to have in North America. Obviously, you want to make it to semifinals, but there's another race inside the race to get into the top heat and be with the best athletes. And as it stands right now, Jason Hopper, Will Morad, Alexander Caron, Chandler Smith, Sam Quant, Colton Mertens, and Tudor Magna will not be in the top heat if they stick to 10 athletes per heat going into the start. And that's just crazy. It shows how deep the competition is. And then some dark horses running strong. A few athletes that had a little heat coming into the season. Fabian Benito, Bill Leahy, and then Victor Hoffer, someone who earned a little bit of that heat coming off the open. All finished top 10 globally in this quarterfinals, kind of backing up their performances and earning a little bit of shine going into semifinals. And then Europe's David versus Goliath. We talk about changing of the guard and some of the established vets. Well, look at what's going on in Europe right now. In the top 7, you have Jonakowski, BKG, and Lazar Djukic. Arguably the 3 best to ever do it in the open era outside of maybe Mikko Salo. The only 3 European athletes to have multiple top 10 finishes in a row at the games. And they're surrounded by guys like Fabian Benito, Victor Hoffer, Harry Lightfoot, Reggie Fossa, and even Anyo Lakai, guy we talked about coming in. Guys who are just trying to break through. So you have these Davids, these guys that really want to make a splash and finally get to the games versus arguably the best to ever do it in Europe. And that's a huge step forward for the competition in the men's Europe.
There's going to be a lot of stuff to watch in semifinals. Can't wait to get that portion of the season going. Well, now that the quarterfinals are in the rearview mirror, here are some key dates that you need to keep in mind as we move throughout the rest of the CrossFit Games season. The video review for quarterfinals tests is scheduled to be complete March 27th, and then invites to semis will go out the following day. And then the deadline to either accept or decline that invite is April 10th. Semifinals will start the weekend of May 18th with North America East and Africa, and they will conclude a couple of weeks later, May 31st through June 4th. That's the final weekend. Europe and Asia going to end things out there. And then at the CrossFit Games, Madison, Wisconsin, that's where we're going to crown the fittest on earth, August 3rd through the 6th. Going to be a lot of fun. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching, and congratulations to all the athletes who took part in the test this past weekend. We're going to have a much more in-depth breakdown of both the men and women's divisions on our podcast this week, so you're going to want to listen to those. And we have a great interview available right now wherever you find your podcast with Jeremy Austin, our Oceania correspondent. Cara Saunders talks to Cara about why she was not able to compete this year and what her competitive life may look like moving forward. So thanks so much, everybody, for watching. We really appreciate it. For Lauren Khalil and Tommy Marquez, I'm Sean Woodland, and we'll talk to you next time.